best friend, she's got all teenagers, and they absolutely adore Patrick. And so she invited him to stay the night. And he's like, can I take cookies? And me and Bella will do them. So they had a blast, and she made hers like perfect, and like everything was lined up just right, and his was like a glob in the middle.
But they had fun.
They did. Well, that's good. That's who I think I'm working on. Because our craft is more, it's about the word of intent for the year. So if the little ones, well, I just love so, all of them is tolerate. So I wasn't really going to do a whole lot with them.
That's why they was like make sure they're like stored and they're not
well, and if we've got as many as we are using out, because it looks like we may be in an outlet. Yeah, I may just work with the other ones today. What we're working on is, you know what, and I have one of those, if I find a top I like, I buy it in every color, and then just swap out stars.
And I don't know anything else. I'm going to take on my
They have Dollar General, and I call them my work because I don't wear like a long dress. They're round and there's usually like 10 bucks, but I'll get them on sale. I have all of them at 6 cents. But they're just comfy, yes, but they're all different cute patterns. So I wear just plain, black, all short dress, with those.
Transformation. That is who we are and that is what we do, and we are so glad that you have brought your unique spirit here to be with us. Would everybody like to sing? Yes? All right, come on, stand up, join us. I've got joy, 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 joy in my soul. I've got joy, 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 Spirit-led, the good times rolling out. Joy, 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 joy in my soul, singing glory, hallelujah. I've got joy in my soul. All right, we're doing love this time. I've got love, 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 love in my soul. I've got love, 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 Spirit-led, the good times rolling out. Love, 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 love in my soul, singing glory, hallelujah. I've got love in my soul. Peace. I've got peace, 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 peace in my soul. I've got peace, 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 Spirit-led, the good times rolling out. Peace, 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 peace in my soul, singing glory, hallelujah. I've got peace in my soul. Faith. I've got faith, 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 faith in my soul. I've got faith, 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 Spirit-led, the good times rolling out. Faith, 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 faith in my soul, singing glory, hallelujah. I've got faith in my soul, singing glory, hallelujah. I've got peace in my soul, singing glory, hallelujah. I've got love in my soul, singing glory, hallelujah. I've got joy in my We all got joy in our souls this morning. You look like it. I see some beautiful smiling faces. Welcome, welcome. Today's theme is the art of abundance, creating a life worth living. I cannot wait to hear more about this. And special music today is some chick. Her name's Beck Duffield. I don't know. That's going into tall redhead. Yeah, well, it's me. You're going to hear a lot of me. And then Dotson Chapel has some special needs. Some canned meats, tuna and chicken, pasta sauce, cereal bars, jellies, soups, and chili. Did you want to say anything more about that, or did I cover it? Okay, so bring in your stuff for Dotson Chapel so we can support them, please. Guess what, y'all? Lunch Bunch is starting again. Woo! All right. It's going to start up again on Wednesday, January 15th. Come and join if you're free midday on Wednesdays. They're going to meet at 11:30 for a book discussion, and you can bring your own lunch if you care to. And this week they'll be discussing what they want to read next. So if you want to have a hand in what's getting chosen, this is the week to come. Since the current Sunday theme is creating an abundant life, one possibility that's been presented is Eric Butterworth's spiritual economics. Yeah. So if you're into that idea, cool, come and vote for it. If not, you got something else to suggest, please show up and bring your ideas. Beautiful Bee is going to lead the discussion. Yay! And today, Leadership Council folks There is a meeting following the service, so please do not forget. And also, there's a reminder for Sacred Community Action. They're meeting at Panera Bread on Saturday at January 18th from 2 to 4. And if you have any questions about that, you can see Benita or Sherry. All right? Y'all want to sing again? Yeah, more singing? I bet you got it in you. I saw you with joy in your soul. Stand up, come on.
Years ago, we created a vision and mission statement that began, remembering our oneness with all creation, we awaken the world to infinite possibilities. And people, we're still learning, aren't we? We're still learning. We believe it. Abundance is an overflowing fullness that goes beyond physical form. As my awareness of oneness with the universe grows, I see abundance everywhere I look. So, the affirmation, I am one with all creation. I see abundance wherever I look. Together, I am one with all creation. I see abundance wherever I look. There is just one power and just one presence in all the world, God the good, omnipotent. Unity students all over the globe recite and believe this statement. This statement implies that we can connect with the source of our abundance in every moment of every day. Eric Butterworth stated in Discover the Power Within You that we are like fish swimming in the sea, always moving and having our being in the substance that is God. Eric also said that fish don't swim around looking for water. So, Why is it that we move through our lives looking for God when God is the very air that we are breathing? Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi, a Persian mystic, once wrote, "The source is within you, and this whole world is springing up from it. The source is full, and its waters are ever flowing. Do not grieve. Drink your fill. Don't think it will ever run dry, this endless ocean." The secret to creating an abundant life lies within each of us every day. It is embedded in our DNA. Perhaps today will be the day when each of us will take a different look at the truth of our beingness. And from Acts 17:28, "For in God we live and move and have our being. I am one with all creation. I see abundance wherever I look."
So I ask that you just settle into your seats and begin by resetting your breath, which means you exhale first. And just allow your breath to flow in easily and effortlessly. I am one with all creation. Just allow that statement to find a place within you right now. I am one with all creation. What does that mean for me in this moment? I see abundance wherever I look. Allow that statement also to seat within your physical body. I see abundance wherever I look. And so now I ask my mind and my heart, what is my definition of abundance? Because whatever definition I hold in my consciousness is what I'm going to believe to be true. And it's what I'm going to see. So take a deep breath again. And settle again into that seat that's supporting you in the very same way that the substance that is God supports each of us all day, every day. I am one with all creation. I see abundance wherever I look. In the silence. In the silence. The source is within me. And the whole world that I see is springing up from this one source. The source is full. abundant. And its waters are forever flowing freely. It's up to me to drink my fill. There is only one presence and one power in my life and in all the universe. God the good.
I was told that it was tragic. I had not heard of this artist before, Daniel Namad. But I had Reverend Denise and Dr. Judy sent me this song and fell in love with it. Now we've raised it a few keys for me, but if you'll listen very closely to the lyrics, it's very meditative. So don't feel the need to stare at me when I sing. We speak so many languages. Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Mohammed, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power is what we are. It's the moment of creation, it's everlasting peace, it's the freedom of forgiveness, it's the sweetness of release, it's the joy of inspiration, it's the sunshine on your face, it's the birthright of all nations, it's the boundlessness of space, it's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep, it's the anger we abandon, for it's the love that's most deep, it's one power, we are is one it's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. One
Now you know why we asked you to sing that song. Just be glad we didn't ask you to sing that song. So if you were here last week, you remember we talked to each other a lot, and we're going to do that all the way through all these lessons. Because again, the art of abundance is not about prosperity. Abundance and prosperity are two totally different things. We will eventually understand that. Abundance is having a lot of something. You can have a lot of shit. Or a lot of love. Do you understand that? Abundance is what you want a lot of. Only you can make that determination. By what you think about every day, all day long. Hence, we're going to be working on our consciousness. I can stand up here for the next 6 months and tell you what I believe, but that doesn't mean that will shift you. You have to figure out what you believe about living an abundant life and what it looks like. Judy and I are busy creating ours. We know what it looks like. It looks like living on the river. You may go, ooh, I wouldn't want to do that. Some people want to live at the ocean. What does the abundant life look like to you? And then if you figure that piece out, and some of us have been looking for years. It's a journey. Then, the man that I have studied with some, he's a religious science minister. He lives in St. Petersburg, Florida. Has written a book called The Art of Abundance, 10 Rules for an Abundant and Prosperous Life. His name is Dennis Merritt Jones. And he's an amazing minister slash mentor slash life coach, works with lots of people. And if you ever got his book, you would understand that you can only live an abundant life if it's in alignment with who you are as a person. You can't live somebody else's abundant life because you won't know how. We've all tried. We've all said, I want what she's having. And then when we get it, we go, I don't want to do this. Or our parents have said, here's what you need to do to have an abundant life. And we've gone, no. So what Dennis did was come up with 10 different aspects of universal laws that he said if you can align yourself with, you can create abundance in your life. Now remember, you have an abundance of anything. When we had to clean out Judy's mother's house, she had 37 sweater vests.
47.
47. She had an abundance of sweater vests. I don't know why. She liked sweater vests, obviously. Okay? So I want you to think about what you have an abundance of in your house. Open one of your closets that you haven't been in a while. That's another part of what we're going through right now, is going through rooms. That's my job. Go through rooms, open up closets, and go, oh. And I'm like, do you really want me to do this? Because my way of dealing with it is getting rid of it. Goodwill, let's let it release it, let's get rid of it. And she's like, well, we might want this. Then I have to clean it, work with it, deal with it. Does that make sense? That's not abundance to me. So there's another deal. In abundance, one of the things I said to everyone last week, if you have a partner, a husband, a wife, or whatever, you have to be on the same page. If one of you likes to keep everything you've had since you were in kindergarten, and the other of you likes to release, there's going to be conflict. Because abundance to one of you is different than it is to the other. Making sense now? So, the principle we're working with right now is be one with life. And this is the one that's really the most important. Years and years ago, when I first was on my trip to becoming a unity minister, I was at a conference one year, and there were probably at the time about 89 or 90 unity ministers in a room. And know that there's 5 unity principles. But really and truly there's 257 unity principles. But Charles realized if he gave them all to you, you would freak and think you were in the Jewish religion or the Catholic Church or somewhere else. And go, I have to do all of this? So he boiled them down to 5. Well, they asked us to boil them down to 1. If there was only one that you could teach, which one would it be? This one was it. That we're one with everything. If we get that piece, the rest of it falls in order. So, be one with life. You just heard a song by the amazing Daniel Nahmod. He is awesome. Google him. He's done lots of music in the Unity movement. That's just one of the songs that he wrote. But you heard the words that she was singing. What did you glean from that song about oneness? Share with somebody. the principles, and know that I've been working with this for quite some time. It's part of the way I believe we created what we created in our world. And I'll just be honest with you. There's some of you that have been there that you've seen. The story that I tell, I'm not going to tell this morning, but there is no way in the world we should be in the house we're in, and we are. Because I believed it. You all did the same thing. So, you know, I know this stuff works, but I can't make it work for you. You have to make it work for you. With each one of these principles, there is a premise, and then immediately there's a problem. Same way with unity principles. There's a unity principle, and then there's a problem. I don't do it all the time. I don't believe it all the time. So let me read you the premise. As the awareness of your oneness with the universe deepens, you will begin to see with new eyes. Everywhere you look, you will find the principle of abundance operating. What that means is everywhere you look, you're going to see a lot of something. Choose where you look wisely. Some of us spend a lot of time every day looking at things a long period of time that we don't want. We see an abundance of it. So just let that sink in, marinate with that. Because if I spend more of my time with what I don't want and looking at that, how am I going to create something different? Does that make sense? Then there's the principle, which is a unity principle. There's one presence and one power in my life and in all the universe, God the good, omnipotent. Some of you can rattle that off as well as I can. And we say we believe it until we go, So where is the but in your life? And how big is it? How big is your butt? I did a sermon for that one Sunday morning. I did. It's like, where do you see the holes in that? And hear me, I'm not going to tell you where they are. I'm just going to throw some things up there today for you to start marinating with. That's the best way for you to shift your consciousness. Because I'm not going to tell you there's not things out there that don't look good and pretty. They are. And so if I want to create an abundance of good in my life, I can't be around that all the time. I'm just going to be honest. And the more you're around it, the more that's what you see. If you have a job where you're looking for what's wrong with people and trying to fix them, and I did that for years, a therapist, whoa. Then that's what I'm focusing on. I used to tell people, it was always funny, that I could get on an airplane and the most mentally involved, obscene person on the airplane would sit by me every time. And I'm like, what's that about? Because I was a walking DSM-4 at the time. I knew it all. By the minute they had talked to me for 10 minutes, I had already diagnosed everything. One. And I'm like, is that the way I want to live my life? And I know there's some therapists out there and you're going, oh dear God. How do you shift that? What do you focus on all day long? And then there's a practice. Here's the part where most of us go, I ain't doing that part. I'll come and sit and listen to this fool, and I'll see about it, but I ain't going to practice. If I want to believe in oneness, I have to practice it every day, all day long. When it's hard. When I don't want to be one with that. Right? But the payoff is magnificent. If I will do my work every day, all day long, it's not that I have to keep doing what I'm doing, but I can eventually recognize this is not what I want to be looking at. And I can work to let that go. Does that make sense? Because we're all going to see things and go, that's... I do it all the time. It's like, no, I'm going to put my energies here. So, talk with whoever you were talking with just a moment ago and say what's coming up for you right now. Go. So you want to know why we have a hard time with all this? This is a picture of a virus. What happens when you get a virus on your computer? That's not good, is it? It crashes. Do you realize that most all of us have this virus I'm going to talk about? And if that's playing in the background of your consciousness, then you're always going to see not enough. Always. Always. So there's the culprit. I'm going to always see places that there's not enough. And I'm going to think I need to do something about it. And then I'm going to start feeling guilty because I did not. And hear me, I am not saying don't do good works and don't do service, but you have to be mindful of what you're looking at and what it does to you. There are certain areas in this world that I can reach out and serve and not get caught up in their stuff. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. And there are certain areas that I can reach out and start getting caught up in their stuff until I become their stuff. And they become my stuff. And I take them home with me, and I worry about them, and I cry about them, and I write about them, and I ruminate on them, and then it has become my consciousness. Everybody breathe. Somebody that's got a big booming voice, read that out loud.
There is more than enough for everyone on the planet.
Can you hear that? So what's the problem?
Distribution.
Oh, but if I share my stuff, I won't have enough because it's mine. As we go back to 2- and 3-year-olds, mine, it's mine. Mine. And you can't have it. Mine. Is it mine? Talk to someone who has left the planet about their stuff. Seriously. You can all have conversations with people that are no longer here. Talk to them about their stuff. It ain't important. Once you're gone, it ain't important. Your kids are going to go through all of it and throw it all away. Because they don't care. My kids are already saying about my mother's, all of her gold and silver and all of her water for crystal and stuff. We don't want any of that. And I don't want silver. I don't want to have to polish that. I'm like, neither do I. And my mother is just bereft because all of this stuff I've accumulated for 87 years and they don't want it. Nope. Stuff. Just think about, go home sometime today and look at all your stuff. And then think about what's going to happen with it when you're no longer here. It's kind of alarming. Go get all your journals and burn them. Go do, I promise you, you don't want people to read some of the stuff you've written down in your house, okay? Do that today before you do anything else. Because I can promise you, it's like, oh, Lord, Judy's mother wrote that? Wow. So this is one of my favorite things when I taught elementary school, when I was the elementary counselor. I had this up in my room all the time. We're going to see it now, and we're going to see it again in just a few minutes. But all I really need to know, I learned in kindergarten, and what is that first word? Huh. You know, I have a 1-year-old grandson who is in daycare. And he will suck on his passy when I'm there, and he will grab something and hand it to me. And I'll say, thank you, and he'll go, can't talk. And then he'll give it back to me, and I'll give it back to him. Because that's what he's learning at 1 year old in preschool. 1. To share. Talk with somebody about where you learned to share. Go. And I just saw some.
Yeah.
So push the pause button right there, and I want you to continue this conversation about what is it that I'm not wanting to share with other people? What do I think is definitely mine and I'm not willing to share it? Go.
The car and the trash.
So do you see up there that this little thing that a lot of kindergarten teachers have in their rooms? says, share what? Huh. Really? That's hard, isn't it? Does that mean you have to share Dan? Well, you do. Share everything. Now, continue your conversation.
Such a boy. That's such a boy comment. Woman with
So this principle actually came out of Herbert Fillmore's mouth. Doesn't surprise you probably at all. She was the wife of Charles. And she was the one that believed in this first. Because remember, she had tuberculosis and she healed herself with this principle. Does that mean I can do that? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Bee read this morning. She read you about what Eric Butterworth says about God, that fish don't swim through the water going, has anybody seen the water lately? But we go on excursions looking for God, because we forget that God's right here. And that I'm living and breathing and moving in the essence of what is God. All the time, all day long, you're sitting on God. Everything we have on this planet that we see is part of the substance of God. Or whatever you want to call it. But there's the problem. We wrestle. We wrestle with thinking this is good and this is bad, this is really good, this is evil. I'm not going to get philosophical with you in this conversation, but unity ministers do not believe in the devil at all. We don't believe that if you're bad, you go into a hole in the ground and, oh well, burn up for the rest of your life, whatever that is. We also don't believe in heaven either. Which some people can go, well, yeah, I don't have to believe in hell, but I want to believe in heaven. We created right here. That's what we're doing here. And so the energy is the energy, is the energy, is the energy. There's one energetic field that we all come from, but whatever you focus on is going to be what you're going to experience. If I focus more on the evil that's going on in the world, guess what? I'm going to get to experience that more and more and more. If I focus more on the good, I'm going to experience that more and more and more. So I'm going to ask you, are you balanced in that? It's impossible to live in our world and not see things that we go, But are you balanced? Is there at least 51, 52% of your time that you're focused on the good? Start with being more on that side. Because energy flows where? What am I intending to pay attention to? Again, if I'm paying attention to all the bad things, And then I come and cry on Sunday morning and say my life is a mess. I'm overwhelmed. It's a mess. I'm like, whoa, you're focusing on the bad. At some point in time, you have to shift and focus on the good, whatever that looks like for you. You've seen that before. That's a Cherokee prophecy. That a child came to the grandfather and said, you know, there's a part of me that's really, really angry and mad, and I'm upset and all of this, but then there's a part of me that's very loving. And which one is going to win? Whichever one you feed. Whichever one you feed. So which wolf are you feeding? Continue your conversation. So a question for you. Do you spend more time thinking about lack or abundance? Which wolf are you feeding? Somebody just sucked all the air off. Which one do you spend more of your time paying attention to? Lack, not enough, or abundance? Again, I said to several people, I'm probably going to be more crass than I've ever been before. But every one of us in this room are more wealthy than 75% of the people on this planet because we have clothes in our closet and food in our refrigerators and a place to lay down at night. 75% of the world's human beings don't have that. So that's a starting place. Yes, I understand that some of us have more bills at the end of the month than we have money. I understand all of that. But what is abundance? You may have an abundance of bills. And then you want to look at them and go, how can I reprioritize that? Somehow or other, this ain't working for me. You know, I just got a new coaching client the other day, and she's got a lot of student debt and all that stuff. And I said, we got to look at all of this and reprioritize where you're spending your money if you ever want to pay this off. Tell me how you spend your money. Well, I have Starbucks every day, and I have, I'm like, do you have a coffee maker? Yeah. Huh. And I'm not begrudging anybody anything, but if I have more bills than money at the end of the month, I need to do something different instead of whining. I know that's not what Unity ministers usually say, but it's true. Do something different. Whatever that is. And only you know what that is. So here's the other side of this. Do you believe you're worthy to have an abundant life? Do you really? Do you have it? I want you to echo me. I am worthy.
I am worthy.
You are worthy.
You are worthy.
We are worthy.
We are worthy.
Now pause for a minute and talk to somebody about the word worthy and what came up for you right then when you said all that. So I just want you to push the pause button because I'm going to get a tiny bit political, just a tad. Not hard, but just a tad. So I want you to echo me again. I am worthy. You are worthy.
You are worthy.
We are worthy.
We are worthy.
Talk to the person beside you about who is not worthy. Good. Are there people in our world today that you don't think are worthy enough to get what they need because they haven't done whatever you think they need to do to get it? Talk. I know there's some good Republicans out there. That's all I'm going to say.
Doesn't necessarily.
So again, I'm not going to jump on a political bandwagon, but how do we make a decision about who gets health care and who does not? How do we make a decision about who gets to eat today and who does not? How do we? Are they worthy? And I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just telling you to think. Because if these questions are not discussed in the United States, eventually we're going to implode and fall apart. You understand that? Because we don't want to share. So just breathe. Because I know if I give up my health care, then there won't be enough, right? Or if I give them a piece of my dinner, there won't be enough dinner, right? I don't need it. You can look at me and tell I probably could miss a few meals. It'll be okay. Again, I'm not telling you how to think, but I'm telling you that you need to think. Because these questions are out there. Metro Council is talking about them. People are talking about them all the time. There are always conversations in Metro schools about Are we going to give free and reduced lunches or not anymore? What are we going to do? I promise you, I worked out there enough to know there are kids that from Friday afternoon till Monday morning, they don't eat. Unless the guidance counselor shoved food into their backpack when they went home. They don't eat. Because nobody cares at home. Does everybody agree? What is abundance? We affirmed this last week. Abundance is what you think it is. But it's not only, your thoughts are not only affecting you, guess what? They're affecting everybody. Because whatever I'm seeing is what I'm believing. So everybody agree? It's okay. So when Jesus lived on the earth, his disciples didn't want him to have to deal with kids because they thought they might do something wrong, cause too much confusion, or be too loud, or whatever. And he would always say to them, bring those children to me. Unless you become as a little child, you will never... Yeah. You'll never inherit the kingdom of heaven. You'll never create it here. Unless you create like a little child. But when we get older, we're like, oh, there's not going to be enough. Everybody agree? All I really need to know, I learned in kindergarten. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Bring things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that are not yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. And then wash your hands. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. Take a nap every afternoon. We have something to learn from Mexico and some other countries. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands, and stick together. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup, the roots go down and the plant goes up and nobody really knows how or why, but we are all like that. Goldfish and hamsters and white mice and even the little seed in the styrofoam cup. They all die. And so do we. And then remember the Dick and Jane books. And the first word you learned, the biggest word of all. Look, I am worthy. You are worthy. We are worthy. Because there is just one presence and one power in all my life and in all the universe. God, the good, omnipotent. Namaste.
I thought Judy and Denise were going to kill me when I suggested this song.
We love it.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. It always kind of was one of those ones that you hear in the car or in the karaoke bar or whatever, and you're like, woo, awesome. But if you really pay attention to the lyrics instead of just letting it rock out, it does say a lot about if you focus on something, that's what you see. The singer in the smoky room is always going to be there. The small town girl who lives in a lonely world takes the train going anywhere because she's changing her perspective. And the most important part is that you don't stop believing. tithes and offerings, please, and hold them to your heart, and join us in the prayer of abundance. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life, and life gives back to me. Now, if you wouldn't mind coming up this direction, and then going and getting your affirmation, please.
in our minds, and we bless these tithes and offerings because they've been given from that place of love and oneness. And they go into this bowl and through our church facility and back out into the world to bless others. That's the way it works. Because when you give, it comes back to you, heaped up, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, for that's the law. And so it is. Amen.
It's funny, while Reverend Denise was talking, it made me think of that Facebook search thing where they give you advertisements for things that you were talking about way away from your phone. It's like if you do searches on your computer, Facebook somehow finds out and sends you ads for the things you were looking for. It's like, I mentioned this 10 minutes ago, and now it's up on my Facebook feed. So it's almost like life works like that, right? If we start talking about, a leather jacket, we're going to get an ad for it somewhere. We're going to see what we think about, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just millennial talking. Sorry, I talked about Facebook. All right, let's do the prayer for protection so you can get protected from my wit. All right. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us.